Well, when soldiers return from the Second World War, physical injuries could be treated, but for many, the mental scars of war went undiagnosed and untreated.
Yes, nowadays soldiers are assessed for these kind of conditions, which are treated with just as much importance as visible injuries.
All week, we'll be bringing you stories from a very special place, the Battleback Centre. The centre is run by the Royal British Legion and helps servicemen and women with both physical and mental injuries to get their lives back on track.
For hundreds in our armed forces, the end of combat marks the beginning of a new battle.
You go through despair, you go through, fear.
The spiral I was in was just a downward one, and I was getting quite worried about myself.
And if I broke down or showed any sign of not being able to cope, I felt like my family would lose hope.
But there's a place that's helping our heroes fight back. A place where the injured come to rediscover themselves over a week-long multi-activity course that focuses on the mental as much as the physical. The Battleback Centre aims to put members of our forces on their own unique road to recovery.
Thanks for being here. Great to see you all. I know for some of you, being at Battleback is going to be a stretch for some of you in the room.
Course leader Nick Moore is welcoming 24 new Battlebackers from across the forces as they begin their 5-day journey.
When they arrive, we know that for some people in the room, they are at their limits of comfort just to be around other people. What I want to do is use this rope as a gauge. So down that end is I want to be out of here and I'm in total stretch. To being down this end, I'm totally relaxed and really looking forward to the week. So we've got a pretty good spread here, so fairly relaxed, okay, sort of moving down the line. Thanks for your honesty, Heath, that's good, and Chloe, thanks very much.
37-year-old Heath Page is an Iraq War veteran. His role as part of an extraction team saw him pulling the bodies of fallen comrades from downed helicopters.
Stuff started happening and you're thinking, actually, Christ, this is real. It didn't hit home and then it was like, actually, we are in a war zone.
He was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and in 2014 also suffered a debilitating hip injury. He is the least convinced the course can help him.
I wasn't too keen. I've been trying to put it off and put it off and put it off. Because I've been sat at home for the last 15 months, approaching nearly 2 years, it's kind of hard to motivate myself to get back into the swing of things, if you know what I mean. I was pretty dejected.
Let's go!
With the group dealing with both psychological and physical injuries, the first activity of the week is designed to level the playing field, wheelchair basketball.
You do not have to have a physical disability to play wheelchair basketball.
All of the activities that we do are simply vehicles to help them view themselves, help them view other people, and view their place in the world just a little bit differently.
For Heath, making that change is going to be a challenge. For the last 10 years, and despite further tours, he struggled with the effects of PTSD.
When I came back in 2006, obviously I was very withdrawn, very quiet, and then all of a sudden the slightest noise I'd twitch, I'd get very nervous, and then all of a sudden the slightest thing I'd snap, just like a wet Kit Kat, just smash the house up.
We're making the chimp sound really bad, aren't we? But actually, do you know what? It's not good, it's not bad, it is just the chimp. So,
after each activity, there's a debrief, moving the focus from physical to mental well-being. Discussing what makes them angry and how to deal with it is the group's first exercise today.
And I hate incompetence.
And for Heath, sceptical on arrival, things are starting to change.
But work up Tuesday morning, complete different attitude. I was like ready and raring to go. Thought make most of it and see what happens. And to be honest, I've been surprised. Seeing ladies and gents in a similar situation kind of opened my eyes and thought to myself, well, I'm not the only one going through it. So get a grip, stop feeling sorry for yourself and crack on. Who's stuck?
Today's all about building on the team's camaraderie, in caves and up walls.
We will see battlebackers who struggle with some of the activities we do, especially on the top of experiences they might have had in the past. It's a great opportunity for some people to be able to desensitize some of the negative emotions around firearms and shooting and see it in a very, very different light.
But there's one person missing from the gun range. For him, it's a test too far.
I'm a bit dubious about loud noises, bangs and stuff like that. I thought, I don't really want to do that. So I kind of had a word with my instructor, and it transpired that I could actually go and play some golf, which I did enjoy actually. So.
As the course goes on, Heath and the group will continue to push themselves physically. Question what they believe.
Actually, I think you've been a bit of a fraud when you see some of the lads, the terrible injuries that they've got.
And try to find their own way onto the road to recovery. For the thousands in our forces who are injured in the line of duty, the effects can be devastating. But there's a place that's helping our heroes fight back, where the wounded and the injured come to rediscover themselves. Over a week-long multi-activity course that focuses on the mental as much as the physical. The Battleback Centre aims to put members of our forces on their own unique road to recovery. Today's exercise involves the group picking cards that reflect their thoughts and feelings about the direction in which their lives are going.
Slightly negative. I'm also quite lonely. I miss the service. I miss the camaraderie.
For RAF engineer Julia Gialavu, opening up about her problems to others is harder than for most.
I've got uncertain about the future. I'm an aircraft technician by trade, and I might not be able to work on aircraft again.
3 tours in Afghanistan and a car crash left her with debilitating injuries to her hands, ankle and knee. But she's been grappling with a deeper and more isolating issue ever since she left her home in Fiji 13 years ago.
When I first came over, it was scary, coming to the other side of the world, leaving all my family and friends behind. So the first thing I did when I went through departures was shut off. And by the time I got here, that was pretty much what I did all the time. I found it worked well for me. And then when I got injured, that's when everything went sideways and bottling things up wasn't good anymore. But since that was what I did pretty much for more than a decade, it was hard to change.
Today the team are tackling wheelchair basketball. But for Julia, it's not a challenge she's comfortable taking on.
I didn't want to play with the rest of the guys because of my injuries. I wanted to take it easy. So I just stayed in the corner and one of the coaches came over and was helping me.
Despite struggling for years to open up to anyone about her problems, Julia agrees to sit down for a chat with one of the coaches.
But then straight off the bat, it wasn't like I was talking with a stranger. It was like easy. That day was like a huge turning point. Without realizing what was happening, I was actually growing personally and doing what I have not done for years.
During the course of that conversation, I think that sort of freed her up to be able to be part of the group and be active within the group.
Having made a big breakthrough in such a short period of time, Julia decides to challenge herself physically. The climbing wall is a struggle for many battle backers. But for Julia, with painful long-term injuries to her hands, knee and ankle, it'll push her to her limits.
So I went down not knowing what to expect or whether I could actually climb up. And then the coach turned to me and was like, right, your turn. I just walked toward the wall and I was thinking, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna get up the wall? Oh my
bring another foot first before you come over. Bring another foot up.
I felt like I could barely hang on. My arms were like really killing. But I was like, I am not coming all this way not to finish. I tried so hard not to give up. And even though at times I could feel I had nothing left in my hands or my legs. By the time I reached there and slapped the top of the wall, I was like, wow, I did it. I just felt like satisfied and was like screaming inside.
That's it, heads together.
Overcoming a massive physical challenge and making a huge breakthrough mentally, Julia will continue pushing herself throughout the week. And as she does so, it's in the knowledge she's finally finding her own way onto the road to recovery. For injured soldiers, getting better can take time. But there's a place giving many a helping hand. Over a week-long course focusing on mental and physical rehabilitation, the Battle Back Centre aims to bring hope and self-belief back to the injured and put our wounded heroes onto their own unique road to recovery. The Battle Backers are halfway through the course. Supporting each other through various challenges has built a bond between the group. It's helping many push past the limitations of their physical injuries.
Are you stuck? Should we get some butter for you, mate?
But despite the laughter, some are still trying to deal with the effects of deeper psychological scars.
So if a negative thought comes through your mind and you just don't give it any attention, it kind of bursts and it goes away. Yeah. It comes back at another time. So
since he went on tours of Iraq and Afghanistan with 2-para, Patrick Mentzer has been struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder.
We really think we are kind of superhuman, but it gets to a point where you realise the human aspect kicking in and being exposed to continuous, strenuous and kind of horrific engagements. At times you get affected quite adversely. You go through despair, you go through fear. The different ways that it affects you, I mean, detrimentally, it's immeasurable.
To make matters worse, Pat suffered painful long-term injuries to his hands and feet on a training exercise. That's now put his future in the forces in doubt.
You put up a front and you try to mask up loads of pain and loads of discomfort. The psychological aspect really stays with you, if not for life, for a very long time, and it leaves indelible scars. Not good, not good.
That's what you see around there.
Today, Pat faces his toughest struggle yet. As the group goes shooting, it's a reminder of the experiences that led to his PTSD.
Some of the experiences, loads of just simple sounds or simple bangs really can just plunge you back into those memories. Yeah, it's not really good. It's not really good.
That was a big sigh.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about whatsoever.
Okay.
Right. Safety catch off.
Yeah.
Here we go, orange first. Up to it, touch it. Perfect. Everything all right?
Yeah.
Right, now the incomer.
I wasn't really liking it, but just to challenge my my fears and my experiences, I kind of wanted to participate and see how it goes. I nearly chickened out, but I didn't.
Yeah. Here we go. Excellent. That's beautiful. That was really acquired that target and shot it perfect.
I've seen some stuff that, even that sound, it was a big challenge for me, but I took it on.
There we go. 10 out of 10 will do, won't it?
Thank you.
Just one click. Very well done.
Thank you very much.
It was a very good experience. I had some great shots. They really instilled that confidence that, you know, we can do it, especially me, and it was really, really great experience.
With half the course still to go, Pat faces more challenges and more barriers to break through.
I got mental issues with PTSD.
But today, at least, he succeeded in fighting his fear and continuing his battle back. This is where sick and wounded service personnel have got a chance to overcome their injuries. The Battle Back Centre focuses on physical and mental rehabilitation, giving our heroes the skills to fight for their future. As the week nears its conclusion, the group have become closer than ever. Joining them today is amateur photographer Neil Harrison. He came on the course 5 years ago and now volunteers. In 2011, Neil was a casualty visiting officer.
It's frustrating when you can't sort of wave a magic wand and make it all disappear for them.
His job was to support families after they'd heard their loved one had been injured or killed in combat.
It's hard on the family, obviously, and you try and do your best to support them.
Such an emotionally demanding job, coupled with a huge workload, took its toll.
I think that my vicariously collected grief from them and then my workload just sort of finished me off, I think. I knew I was stressed, but I felt that my stress was a lot less than the family, so I just carried on.
Eventually, it became too much. Neil's doctor diagnosed him with PTSD and insisted he take time away.
When I was sent home initially, I felt I'd let everybody down. Mostly my colleagues, I felt that I'd failed, particularly those sort of people, because while they were in Afghanistan, I was deemed sick and at home, and I felt that I'd failed everybody.
The situation also took its toll on Neil's family, particularly his wife, Sue.
If I'd have lost a leg like some of the people I looked after, you can see a physical injury and then there's no issue. You can, Mark or Dave can't do that because there's an injury. What was hard for her was she couldn't see an injury in me, and that's what she found very hard. I suppose the negativity of being sent home and the loneliness built up and up and up. And in the end, I really struggled just leaving the house. I felt that the spiral I was in was just a downward one, and I was getting quite worried about myself.
In 2011, Neil was referred to go to a new rehab programme that was just being piloted, the Battle Back course. His mental health had deteriorated to the point he initially refused to attend.
It really panicked me coming here, to the point where I'd have left a room if I could, but I couldn't leave the room because they'd shut the door and I couldn't open it because I just was that panicked. I couldn't realise it was a sliding door and I was trying to pull it. And if I'd have got out of the room, I'd have left and not come back, and that was on Monday afternoon. Thankfully, I didn't realise and ended up staying.
As it became clear he had no choice but to take part, his anxiety only grew.
It was the first time I was back in with my peer group, as in other soldiers, and a lot of them were younger than me, and I felt that they'd look at me, and when they found out that I'd been sent home in the way it all sort of happened, I felt that they would look at me in a bad way, and I felt I deserved that.
But on day one, Neil's perspective started to change.
Well, we did climbing on the Tuesday, which reminded me that I like climbing, and one of the guys couldn't remember how to tie a climbing knot, and I taught him all day. And it just reminded me that I like teaching and taking responsibility of things.
When Neil overcame his fear and told the group why he was on the course, he was astonished by their positive response.
At the time, I was just bewildered by the fact that other people didn't hate me and didn't think that I was useless like I was thinking they thought I was. So it gets rid of those negative thoughts that you have.
Neil had tried to escape the course on day one, but by the end of the week, it had started to change his life.
It doesn't fix you straight away, but it opens a door and you can see a chink of light that you can see there is better things. The best way I can describe it is if you drive up to a roundabout and if you look left, it's all flowery and pretty and lovely, and if you look right, it's a thunderstorm. Sometimes your body wants to go left, but your mind takes you right. Coming away from here meant that sometimes I could turn left and go down the nice avenues, and I didn't have the negative thoughts.
These days, Neil's life is heading in a much more positive direction, and he's keen to use his experiences to help the current crop of battlebackers.
I still have a few issues, but overall, I feel very good, yeah.
These are the battlebackers, a group of service personnel who've been injured in the line of duty. Over a 5-day course, they struggled with grueling physical challenges and opened up about their own psychological scars.
Yeah.
As they prepare to leave, how has the experience changed the lives of Heath, Julia and Pat? On day one, Iraq veteran Heath Page didn't want to be at Battleback.
Moving down the line. Thanks for your honesty, Heath. That's good. And Chloe, thanks very much.
He didn't think the course could help him with his physical injuries or his post-traumatic stress disorder. It took seeing others struggling too to change his perspective.
And thought to myself, well, I'm not the only one going through it. So get a grip, stop feeling sorry for yourself and crack on.
Here we go.
Worried that the clay pigeon shooting may have brought back painful memories associated with his PTSD, Heath was offered the chance to play golf instead. It turns out it could have been the best decision he made.
Absolutely. I just went out there, did it, all right, yeah, it wasn't very good for a few holes, but then all of a sudden, oh, I'm back in the swing again, you know what I mean? So if I'm feeling stressed or angry, right, just get the driver out and I'm off. I'll come back in a few hours when I've calmed down and sorted my head out.
With golf a firm fixture in his future, a much happier Heath joins the group for their final exercise. At the start of the week, they had to choose words that reflected how they saw themselves. For the very last activity, they're choosing words for each other.
So keep being the person you are, don't change on your recovery, stay as you are.
Thank you very much.
Yeah?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
For Corporal Pat Menser, who's suffered with PTSD and flashbacks for years, the outpouring of support is overwhelming.
Up to it, touch it. Perfect. Everything all right?
Yeah.
Right.
This is a really simple one. I think you're a true gentleman. All right?
Thank you.
You're a great guy to be around.
Thank you very much.
You've got a smile on your face, and you've got a smile on other people's faces.
Confident.
Oh, thank you.
Because some of the confidence we have rubbed off on me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
For helicopter technician Julia, who's struggled for years to talk about how she feels, the closing session shows just how far she's grown emotionally.
After this week, it's pretty much looking at things a different way. We arrived here as strangers, pretty much became brothers and sisters. But then for the coaching staff, we were your children. You pretty much protected us and we felt safe in this environment, enough to open up.
Neil Harrison completed the Battleback course 5 years ago after struggling with PTSD. He knows this can be the start of a very special journey.
It's brilliant to be able to come back here and sort of get involved with the guys. I've been in that position. I know exactly what you're talking about. And yes, at the moment you're feeling this, but in 6 months' time, a year's time, you'll feel better. You can move on with your life.
5 days ago, Heath, Pat and Julia walked in anxious, depressed and angry. This week they've been shown how to battle back. Today they're walking away with hope.
It's kind of tamed the inner demon, if you know what I mean. So, it's taught me to be a little more calmer, and it's kind of taught me that, yeah, you've got a life-changing injury, but it's not the end of the world.
It makes you think about things in a very different way, and I think it's really affected me in a very, very different way, in a very positive way.
It's been really good coming here. I've learned a lot, and I know I've grown a lot personally. I'm gonna walk away from here feeling at peace and that I've actually achieved something, and I'm like really happy.
Well, I hope our week at the Battleback Centre has given you an insight into the extraordinary work that has been done there. And I'm pleased to say that we've got two of the people that you saw in that feature with us today, Neil Harrison and Pat Mensah. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
First of all, what was it like watching it?
A bit teary, because it just brings back the raw feelings. Because the first time being there, really didn't know what to expect, if you know what I mean. It was kind of a bit nervous, really didn't want to be there, but as we were kind of gradually introduced into the whole course, we felt at ease and we opened up, we made friends, and we really felt good during the course, and then leaving there, really, some people really didn't want to leave.
I know, having come through the system myself, that looking back on it, I realised that a big chunk of me was missing. Did you feel that it brought a piece of you back? You know, it's the old Pat, the old Neil.
Exactly. It does. That's kind of brings an aspect that you might have lost over there, brings it back.
Neil, it must be so special to be able to have come through the system yourself and then go back and, you know, contribute so much to it.
Yeah, being able to volunteer there as a Legion volunteer is awesome, and I get the benefits that the guys talk about by being there myself, but also you get the camaraderie of being with a team, and it's great to see how everybody changes from Monday to Friday. You know, they come in worried when they start and they go away, you know, really sort of at peace.
It's interesting as well to see how much sport plays a role in people's recovery, and it's a really central part, isn't it?
You get somebody that has a physical injury, and you'll get them to do exactly the same. So if you notice, a lot of the sports are designed behind wheelchair basketball, for example, or seated volleyball, so that everybody's inclusive. Nobody, if they want to join in, can join in. It's not about what you can't do, it's about what you can do. And the whole week's designed to give you a sense of well-being and a sense of sort of togetherness with everybody.
Anneke, you're a Help for Heroes patron, aren't you?
Yes.
You've seen a lot of this in action.
I have. I've been down to Headley Court a few times, and what you talk about that word camaraderie, you know, just talking to the guys down there and women as well, that's what you miss so much when you're out, when you're just sent home and you're suddenly on your own. You miss that support network and that amazing loyalty and team thing going on.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Well, thank you both for coming in after watching a week of what is going on at the Battleback Centre. It's lovely to see you here. Thank you both.
Thank you.